call the meeting to order. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Here.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Allen? Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. The next item on the agenda is the moment of silence to be led by our board clerk.
As we begin this meeting, let us pause for a 60-second moment of silence to reflect, meditate, pray, or engage in any other silent activity. Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance, and that will be led by Ann Vo, a 5th grade student in Miss Garrison's class at Arrowhead Elementary School.
Please stand and say the pledge with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all. Turn and face the Oklahoma flag. Attention, salute, pledge. I salute the flag of the state of Oklahoma. Its symbols of peace unite all people. Tiger Creed. I am a tiger. I am tenacious in pursuit of my goals. I act with integrity and show gratitude in my daily life. I have high expectations for myself and others, and I show respect through my actions and words. I am a tiger.
Very good. And we're working on that Tiger Creed. Can you tell we're not very good at it right now. You had to really help us.
Okay.
Tell us about your who's your teacher at Arrowhead?
Miss Garrison.
Miss Garrison. Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about Arrowhead and your experience there?
Yes.
Have you been at Arrowhead the whole time since like kindergarten?
Yes.
So tell me about it. Has it been fun?
Yeah, it's interesting.
I can tell. Can you tell me anything like specifically that you've enjoyed the most at Arrowhead?
I've enjoyed doing all the projects and art stuff.
Okay. What's the latest art project that you've done?
Well, I did one in summer where I took a mason jar and made like a swan on water.
Really?
Yeah.
Sounds pretty cool. I'd like to try that sometime. You think you could show me how to do that?
Yes, but it's going to take a lot of time.
Yeah, it is. I'm pretty hard to deal with. So, 5th grade, huh? So where are you going to go to middle school? Do you know yet?
No.
Not really?
Not
You're not going
really.
to think about that till after the break?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, do you mind if we take a picture with you?
Yeah.
Okay, is that A for Ann or Arrowhead?
Both.
All right. Good answer. Let's go right out here.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Again. One more. 1, 2, 3.
Everybody here, you want to introduce? thanks, Mom, for being here. The principal doesn't have any hair. Tell him to grow some hair. Good job.
Thank you very much. All right, the next item on the agenda is the formal adoption of the agenda. There have been no items that have been called to my attention at this time. If there are those at this time, that would be the time for you to bring those forward. I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and second to formally adopt the agenda. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. The next item are the minutes of the August 8th, 2016 regular meeting minutes. If there are no questions, certainly I would entertain a motion or discussion.
Any questions? Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the August 8th, 2016 regular board meeting minutes. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Abstain.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. The next item are the donations. Miss Amanda Summers.
Good evening, President Kelly, Dr. Mendenhall, and members of the board. Before I recognize this donation, I would like Mr. Scott McDonald, if he wouldn't mind coming up and standing by Dr. Dale. Scott McDonald is the worshipful master of the Broken Arrow Masonic Lodge. So I bring to you tonight recognition of the generous donation of $1,500 made by the Broken Arrow Masonic Lodge to Sequoia Middle School. The money is actually going to be utilized in a number of ways that will impact and benefit the majority of students there at Sequoia. Ms. Gilbert has some fantastic ideas with her staff. So thank you very much, Mr. McDonald.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is Dr. Dale.
The Masons have been supporters of the band program in the school system since its very inception over 100 years ago. And that still is true this year. They are donating $1,150 to the Sequoia Band program, and it's going to be used to buy instruments for students that might not otherwise be able to afford to be in the program. So the Fine Arts Department would like to say a big thank you to the Masons and to Mr. McDonald.
Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is Mr. Mark Officer.
Good evening, President Kelly, Dr. Mendenhall, and members of the board. Bring to you a discussion, motion, and vote on a motion to approve or disapprove a anonymous donation to Sequoia Middle School in the amount of $2,500. Currently, Mrs. Gilbert, Dr. Gilbert, congratulations. Yeah. Mrs. Gilbert plans to use that to help encourage participation in activities and events and improve engagement. So.
I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the anonymous donation of $2,500 made to Sequoia Middle School. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is Mr. Darren Davis.
Good evening. We bring before you tonight a request to approve a generous donation from Walmart. I have with me, this is Mr. Frankie Catlett, who's the store manager of the Hillside location of Walmart. The funds for this have been would be used to offset the cost of the trip to California for the Rose Parade for our Pride Band students.
All right. Are there any questions,
Impressive
comments?
donation.
Yes, it is.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the $10,000 donation from Walmart Corporation to Broken Arrow Public Schools for the Pride of Broken Arrow. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Denton,
Yes.
Miss Kelly.
Yes.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much.
The next item on the agenda is Mr. Mark Fry.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Several weeks ago, I was contacted by Mr. Paul Sweeney, who his wife, who had recently passed, was a piano teacher, had a great love of music, and he was interested in donating her Yamaha piano to the PAC. It didn't quite work to our specifications. I let him know of a need at the high school vocal music program that does not have a grand piano, and he was more than happy to make this donation in his wife's memory. It is a Yamaha GH1 baby grand piano.
Awesome. This is an action item. I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the donation of a Yamaha GH1 baby grand piano to the Broken Arrow High School Choir Department, given by Mr. Paul Sweeney. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
Mr. Denton,
Yes.
Miss Kelly.
Yes. Thank you.
The next item is a discussion, motion, and vote on motion to approve the gift of $20,000 from Arts OK, that's the Regional Arts Alliance of Broken Arrow, and the Kristen Chenoweth Arts and Education Fund to Broken Arrow Public School Fine Arts programs. All elementary music programs and secondary vocal music and theater programs will benefit from this gift.
Okay. Is there discussion? I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and second to approve the gift of $20,000 from Arts OK Inc., Kristen Chenoweth's Arts and Education Fund to the Broken Arrow Public Schools Fine Arts Program. All elementary music programs and secondary vocal music and theater programs will benefit from the gift. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
Mr. Denton,
Yes.
Miss Kelly.
Yes.
Madam President, I would like to just say that pretty incredible situation to have 6 different donations from various groups within our community, and really, really appreciate that. I don't know, Mr. Fry, a baby grand piano, what it would be worth, but I'm sure it would be worth a lot of money. So if you look at that, and then what, we had an opportunity with Kristen Chenoweth last week. Not only did she provide funding, but she's also providing her time. And so really appreciative of that. And then the Walmart Corporation, the Masonic Lodge. I mean, when you begin to think about those folks actually stepping up to give to our students and our staff, it's pretty incredible. So really want a heartfelt thank you to all of you. And we really do appreciate what you do for our community and for our kids. So thank you.
Dr. Mendenhall, I would like to echo that, and I would just like to say that we have an outstanding community, and it's obvious in so many ways. We have so many people that step up to the plate to provide what's necessary for the students that we all serve. And so I certainly, as on behalf of the board, thank those community members that have stepped out and stepped up and donated. We appreciate it greatly. All right, the next item are the comments from the public. Seeing that we do not have any, we'll move to the next item on the agenda, which is the report to the board, and Ms. Katie Cook.
Good evening. We have successfully we've put in the survey for the certified staff to vote on ratification of the agreement after successful negotiations with the district, and I'm happy to report that the teachers did ratify 391 to 16. We're going to be looking at some ways over the course of the year to maybe bump that number up. That's only about a quarter of our certified staff that actively participated in the voting. So we're going to look at trying to get that number up a little bit.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. The next item are the general consent agenda items 14 through 58. I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the general consent agenda items 14 through 58. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
Mr. Denton,
Yes.
and Miss Kelly.
Yes. The next item under the Superintendent Board of Education Communications, Ms. Shelley Holland Handy.
Good evening, President Kelly, Dr. Mendenhall, members of the board. Tonight, I'm bringing to you an update, a status update on our high school configuration study. As you know, we've been meeting with this committee since last fall, and they've been working hard on planning and then also researching some of the different possible configurations for our high school. And just to recap, the purpose of the high school configuration study is to conduct a comprehensive high school configuration study and recommend a model or roadmap that will enhance student learning and improve academic achievement, provide opportunities for student engagement, and also provide a long-term plan to accommodate enrollment growth. So that's what the committee has been tasked with. And then also just to recap the process that we've developed for this particular study, we formed the steering committee, and that's made up of stakeholders, which include parents, community members, and members of our district staff. And then several members of our district administration are leading working groups, which are doing the actual work to bring back information to the configuration steering committee to evaluate and make a recommendation. Also part of that process is a community feedback loop, which involves getting our patrons and parents information about what their opinions are on this potential configuration. And so moving on to the next slide. So just to kind of catch you up to where we've been, in phase one, it was our preparation, and that actually took place beginning in July of 2015 and concluded in December. And during that, we worked with the board and developed preliminary plans for the framework. We commissioned the steering committee, and then we did our initial kickoff. During phase two, which started in January of this year, the working groups convened. They also started to discuss what types of research might need to be conducted with the steering committee. We established some timelines and benchmarks, and also determined what opportunities we might have for stakeholder input. And then we developed a communications plan for that, to update our patrons. In phase three, that's the phase that we're currently in. That began in April, and that's our research phase. And really a lot of the really important information is being done during this phase. The working groups are conducting their research in designated areas. They're also collaborating among the groups to talk about their findings and how their findings might impact the research that the other groups are conducting. The working groups are providing updates to the steering committee right now, and then we'll be providing some opportunities for stakeholders to participate in surveys and also some forums. And then the final phase, that phase will actually conclude in December, and then the final phase will begin in January. There they will gather all of the information that's been provided to them up to that point. They will determine the best configuration option based on the data that's provided, and then they will outline this roadmap that we've been discussing that will carry us through the next several years, not only to determine what we should do immediately, but also what we should do in the future to make sure that our growing district is accommodating for that growing high school population. So then beginning in January, they will be doing all of that, and then they'll present a final recommendation to the board later that spring. As I mentioned earlier, the working groups have been providing reports to the steering committee, and so far we have heard from our configuration and academics group, and also our activities and student engagement. At our September steering committee meeting, we'll be hearing from our infrastructure and facilities group, and then also our finance and human resources group. And then finally, we've established some dates for our community feedback. We've got public forums set for Tuesday, October 4th at Centennial Middle School at 6:30, and then also on Thursday, October 6th at Childers Middle School at 6:30. We'll also be conducting a focus group among our high school staff to determine maybe some insight that they might have that is very unique to that population of our teachers and staff. And then we'll also be kicking off a community survey the week of October 11th, which should conclude around the November 1st date.
Okay.
Do you have any questions about any of that?
No questions. I just wanted to make a point. I did attend the, actually, it was the feedback or the research on the student engagement and instruction recently, and I certainly felt like there was a lot of good information shared during that meeting. I enjoyed the process that was used that evening, so certainly I'm looking forward to the additional feedback and the process that will move forward this year. But I just wanted to say thank you certainly to you and to all those who are participating and working very hard to get us to a point where there is a recommendation.
Thank you.
Next.
So my next item that I bring to you is just an update on our strategic plan. So as you know, we concluded our previous strategic plan in April of 2016, and that was a 3-year plan that was very successful, and it was actually the district's first strategic plan, at least instituted by this administration. Then in June of this year, we also met with the board and cabinet, and we started to plan for the next strategic plan. So some activities took place for us to talk about district goals and whether we needed to abbreviate the vision and mission of the district, and those things actually remain the same. And then in August, we selected our new steering committee the strategic planning committee for this new strategic plan. And so then moving forward, just to give you a little bit of information about the strategic planning members, it's composed of 34 members, and it includes a lot of different stakeholders, including parents, district staff, community leaders, business leaders, and also there's 2 board members that will serve on that committee. And the action plan categories that the board and the cabinet established as places to focus will be academic achievement, student engagement, district development and configuration, human resources, technology, finance, and communications. And then the next steps will be for our strategic planning committee to gather on September 16th for a retreat where they will discuss what types of action plans will be implemented in this new strategic plan. Action teams will be established during the fall after that strategic planning committee meets, and then those plans will be developed over the next several months, and that final plan will be presented to the board in the spring, and then we'll start to implement that plan following the presentation and approval by the board.
Okay. Any comments or questions? Thank you. The next item, Dr. Mendenhall.
Yes, Madam President, members of the board, I very, very excited about this year. I tell you, the things that we've been able to do, anytime you're able to really bring a lot of stakeholders together and really discuss kind of the next phase or the next stage in our district's history, I think is always kind of exciting. The other thing that I find very exhilarating is the strategic plan being completed. The first one has been completed, and now we're to 2.0. So those are really the 2 things that we've really focused on and we've talked through. So 2 of our goals that I'm proposing tonight that we adopt are, number 1, completion of the high school transformation committee with a final recommendation coming to you in May of 2017. You can see where Ms. Holland-Handy has already kind of presented kind of where we're at on that, but I feel like the completion of that will be really what we want is an actual document or a roadmap for now and into the future. Then the number 2 thing that I felt like that really resonates is the adoption of the strategic plan. Calling it Strategic Planning 2.0 by June of 2017. And what we would do is plan for our implementation starting the 17-18 school year. If you recall, we've chosen to go 3 years, and I like that just simply because it's right there. We're doing quarterly updates on the strategic plan, and it's really a living, breathing document that we all feel like we're really close to. And so some do 5 and 7 year plans, and we've chosen to do 3-year plans and then readopt. And I think that gives us a chance to really evaluate where we're at in the district and somewhat recalibrate if we need to. So those are the 2 goals that I'm proposing to you tonight. Number 1, the completion of the transformation process, And number 2, completion of the district's strategic plan 2.0.
Dr. Mendenhall, before we look at taking an action item, I do want to thank certainly yourself and the leadership team during our board retreat and during important times of discussion. We have certainly, I think, put together a couple of goals that we can really focus in on this year to give us some good direction. And so I do appreciate the work certainly that you do and all of the leadership team. And certainly we know that a strategic plan, it goes far out and above just the leadership team and those on the board and the superintendent. So hats off to all of our employees that do such a great job. With that, if there are other comments, I would certainly open it up to discussion. If not, I would entertain a motion.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to accept the proposed goals for 2016 and 2017.
Second. We have a motion and second to approve the board superintendent goals for 2016-17. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
Mr. Denton,
Yes.
Ms. Kelly.
Yes. All right, the next item under instructional services is Mr. Mark Officer.
Good evening. Sorry. Good evening again. This is the second reading of the revision for policy 3140, which is our graduation requirements policy necessary as a result of new legislation which eliminates the need for high stakes testing, specifically EOIs, and then also the addition of CPR and the addition of one physical science requirement, which doesn't really change anything that we do.
And this has been reviewed by council, so
Yes.
that's very good. Are there comments or questions?
Recommend approval.
Second. We have a motion and second to approve the proposed revisions to Board Policy 3140, Promotion and Graduation Requirements under instruction. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
Mr. Denton,
Yes.
Ms. Kelly.
Yes. Thank
Thank
you. Next item under Operations Services is Mr. Bob Tolomeo.
Good evening, President Kelly, Dr. Mendenhall, members of the board. I'm here to give a construction update. We are working pretty hard at all of our construction projects. Here's a list of everything we have going on. It's Kirkland, Sequoia, the high school, and New Elementary School 15. I'm going to focus a little bit on New Elementary 15 at the end of this. That's why it kind of moved to the bottom. Out at Kirkland, we do have demo progressing. It's going along pretty nicely. They should be done probably by the end of this month. And then we'll be bidding the Kirkland Activity Complex shortly after that.
I also want to say too that I really appreciate the work that you've done out there. I know that we got a chance to provide bricks and different things to the community, and you went the extra mile to do that. So very much appreciated for your staff and your folks doing that. So thank you.
Well, thank you. We found some interesting things buried underneath the bricks. We found the old high school sign in cast stone. It was still preserved really well. It's nice. We saved it.
Well, thank you for what you're doing out there. I know that there's a lot of people, to be honest, there's a lot of people watching. So I've noticed it being on Facebook and Twitter and other places. So,
In fact, I did get a comment on the preservation of the high school, and there's a lot of positive comments around that. So just passing that on to you as well.
Well, thank you.
Mhm.
I focused last time on Sequoia. We are still progressing pretty nicely out there. We have all but 2 tilt panels up. That structure will get its roof on it over the course of next week, and we'll be able to start working inside once the roof is installed. This is some more interior shots. I know it's stuff you've seen, but it's still nice to see how far we've taken that project. At the high school, we are currently bidding this project. It's 11 classroom addition that'll connect the VPA all the way down to the field house. We'll get 11 classrooms, some additional eating spaces. We're also fixing numerous things that are wrong with the existing front entry of the field house with this addition too. Elementary School 15. I'm actually really, really proud of this project. We've come quite a long way in this last month. We actually have some walls going up at that FEMA safe room structure. These are some aerial shots. You can see sort of right there in the back, you can see Walmart and how it'll kind of overlook all those trees. It'll be one of our nicest looking schools that we have. Here are the tilt walls going up. We have about a little bit less than half of them currently up. And then I have a little video to play as well. This is before the tilt walls. This is coming from 209th over the back of the elementary school. And then this is the front of what the elementary school will be.
There's that much elevation changes.
Yeah, it's about, from the back of the property to 71st Street, it's about 15 feet.
I had no idea it was that much. It's pretty cool.
It'll provide some really nice views. And then it just kind of comes around back. Again, there's that Walmart, and then you'll see over on the right side, you'll see where our road to 71st is picking up.
It's just a great area too.
It's a
an
beautiful
attractive
piece
area.
of property, yeah. And then just kind of loops through different views. Do you guys have any questions?
You know, we're getting asked a little bit about access to the site. Tell us off of 71st Street, kind of the planning stage and what you've talked with on the city and all of that, if you could.
We've been talking to the city. They know it's a priority for us to get a traffic light. So we're going to be able to hopefully convince them of that. We have the traffic counts of 71st from a recent study they've done. And then when you include our traffic counts that we expect at this school, I think we'll more than qualify for a traffic light. So they've been working with us pretty good, so I don't think there'll be any issues.
And then 209th is also a bit of a concern for some. Have you heard or know anything about what they're supposed to do? That's the street adjacent to Walmart.
They will probably start construction when we occupy, probably within September of next year.
Perfect timing.
Awesome timing. The great news is we do not access 209th. It'll be a little bit tricky depending on where our boundaries go for some of those parents to come into our school site. But we'll have about a quarter mile of stacking space, which is about 2 times any other elementary school that we've built so far. So we're really, I think we'll be okay.
We'll have a separate bus loop, all of that as well.
It'll all come in off of 209th, but buses will go around back and then exit out on a traffic light on 71st. And then when we build the middle school, we'll start thinking about adding some additional roads out in that area too.
The other day was just, my husband and I were taking a drive, and I thought, well, we'll just drive over there and see if we can get up on that hill take a look. but there was a fence, so no, we could not. But I did have the opportunity on the first day to go up on the top of that hill, and that is an absolutely gorgeous sight. And it is exciting to see that the amount of property that we did purchase will facilitate a middle school as well eventually. And I am certainly looking forward to it, and I know that it will service our public very well. So,
well, I'd like to welcome you into the club. We all have our little sicknesses, and visiting sites on weekends is some of our...
Guilty as charged.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great job.
All right, the next item, item 64, is Ms. Michelle Bergwald. Good evening.
Dr. Mendenhall, President Kelly, members of the board. The first item I have tonight is the approval of the architectural services for the PAC project, the addition to this building that was passed in the 2009 bond issue. And I bring for your approval tonight WRA Architects. We have Jeff Miller in the back that has joined us, and you may recall that they were the architects of record on Sequoia the first time around, in the first edition in 2009, and we're excited to get started on this project and get the last project off the 2009 bond issue underway.
It's the last one. That's,
Wow.
that's
Last
pretty
one.
exciting.
That's cool.
Are there questions? I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve?
Second. We have a motion and second to award WRA Architects to provide architectural services related to the design, bidding, and construction of the Performing Arts Center project, and authorize the Chief Operating Officer to negotiate the terms of the contract. Total cost to the district will be 7% of the cost of the work and will be paid from the 2009 bond funds. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. Next item.
Jeff, thanks for being here. He came all the way from Dallas, Texas to be here,
Okay.
and came up north where it's nice and cool.
Yeah.
So, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
The next item I have is a donation. I guess I missed the memo. I didn't know I was supposed to be in that front section. So we have a donation from Childers Middle School. Their PTA has partnered with a concrete company and found another company to install the labor and pour a concrete pad and install basketball goals in the back of Childers. This is similar to what we saw Oneida Ridge do too, have some activity areas for their kids. It's the same thing that we're doing at Sequoia in their courtyard. So we're glad to see that we're starting to give some activity space to those kids during the school day.
Okay. I would entertain certainly discussion, but if there is no discussion, an action item.
Make a motion to approve?
Second. We have a motion and second to approve the donation by the Ernest Childers Middle School Parent-Teacher Association in the amount of $1,075 for concrete work to provide an outdoor activities area and basketball goals for use by the students at Ernest Childers Middle School for outdoor activities as deemed appropriate by the site principal. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item under Student Services is Mr. Darren Davis.
Good evening, Dr. Mendenhall, members of the board. We'd like to bring before you this evening a project that we are very excited for the opportunity to provide brand new band uniforms for the pride and tradition of Broken Arrow at the cost you can see on your agenda item. This would give us the opportunity to outfit every band student in the same uniform, which is a luxury that we have not had, and something I think that all of those band members certainly deserve. It's been over 8 years since we've had a new uniform. Noticed at the ball game last Friday night, some of those pants are getting a little thin down in the rear end.
All right.
Questions?
I want to make a comment on this, is that the district has really long-term over its history set aside monies from the bond fund to purchase instruments or other items of need for the band. And given what you said, it's been 8 years since there's been a purchase of band uniforms. It seems very appropriate that bond funds will be used to do that as well. And I just wanted to make that comment. And if there are other comments or questions, certainly I would entertain those.
Thank you. Make a motion to approve?
Second. We have a motion and second to approve the new agreement between Broken Arrow Public Schools and Fred J. Miller, Inc., providing the custom design of the new band uniforms for the Broken Arrow Pride. The total cost of the district is $222,360 and will be paid with bond funds. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
The next agenda item that I bring before you this evening is to request an exemption to the BOE policy 6100, what would allow the BAHS Pride to fundraise with a raffle for a new car, and the proceeds from that fundraiser will be applied directly to the Pasadena Rose Parade trip to offset the cost for our students to attend that trip.
How much are the raffle tickets?
They will be a suggested voluntary donation of $20 each.
Feeling lucky?
Other discussion? I would entertain a motion.
Recommend approval?
Second. We We have a motion and second to approve an exemption to the BOE policy 6100, allowing for a Broken Arrow High School Pride fundraiser to raffle a new car. This fundraiser will raise money for students attending the Rose Bowl Parade in Pasadena, California. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank
What kind
you.
of car is it?
It's a Honda Civic from South Point.
Next item, Dr. Dale.
Our next item is an agreement to furnish the car to be raffled. This will be a discussion motion, vote on a motion to approve or disapprove a new agreement with Broken Arrow Schools and South Point Honda Auto Mall. Total cost to the district is $15,000 and will be paid for out of the band activity funds.
Discussion? I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the new agreement between Broken Arrow Public Schools and South Point Auto Mall. Total cost to the district is $15,000. Will be paid with the band activity funds. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
I would like to mention the last two items, we want to make sure that you guys are aware that we've spent a lot of time with our legal team, our attorneys, to make sure that everything's in place when you do a raffle. So felt like that needs to be stated so that you guys know that we've spent some time with our attorneys to make sure that we were complying with law and doing everything we're supposed to be doing. So,
Cool. Thank you for that
Thank you.
comment.
Our next agenda item is a discussion motion, vote on a motion to approve or disapprove a new contract between Broken Arrow Public Schools and Gail McInnes Productions LLC for the purchase of custom show choir costumes. Total cost of the district is approximately $45,052 and will be paid for out of choir activity funds.
Discussion?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the new contract between Broken Arrow Public Schools and Gail McGinnis Production LLC for the purchase of show choir costumes. The total to the district is approximately $45,052 and will be paid with Choir Activity Fund 833. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next item under Business Services, Miss Natalie Enoch.
Good evening.
Ms. Enif, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good.
Okay, we're just getting ready to, we're just starting our new fiscal year. Our state aid initial projection is $46.9 million. The real test will be to see what our midterm allocation is with the official October 1 count, which will be released sometime in January. But you can see from where we were last year, we're pretty much neck and neck. At this time last year, it'd be a lot more if, you know, the state of the state's overall budget wasn't where it is, and you can really see the reflection of where we've been cut in the state sources of revenue. Keep in mind, we did not receive any textbook, professional development, or ACE funds this year, and so you can see that's where that dip is in that category. The federal sources of revenue are up a little bit from where we were last year due to some timing of some of the payment of previous year claims that have come in, and our ad valorem to date is just what we've collected for back taxes. Building fund revenue, again, we're not really seeing too much activity in this fund until we receive our big tax payment collection in January and March. The local donations that we received have been from our One Club sponsors in this fund. Child nutrition, we're up in local and federal collections. We're seeing a lot more participation at sites. Our summer feeding program was a good success, so we received more federal collection from that program. So they're doing a really good job at funding their own program.
Are we seeing our free and reduced continuing to increase?
You know, that the percentage is staying about the same. We're about at 42%, but we're just having more kids participate in breakfast in the classroom, and you know, child nutrition is becoming very creative with trying to engage our students, especially at our high school, to get them to stay on campus and participate. So it's a good thing because, as I've mentioned before, that fund is completely self-sustaining. They pay for their own payroll, food, materials, all that. So that is not a burden to our general fund. General fund expenditures, the big difference from where we were last year is in our payroll expenses. This year, obviously, the district did not do the return to work stipend, and so you can see the difference reflected in our salaries and benefits. Everything else is pretty much where we were at this point last year. Building fund, you will see a little bit of shift in the payroll and building fund because we did end up with a higher ending fund balance for building fund. We are trying to shift some expenses where we can in this fund where it makes sense to utilize some of that fund. And child nutrition, again, you can see the effect of not issuing the return to work stipend in child nutrition. And you'll notice that our ending fund balance is still estimated for 2016 at about $13 million. This is because the state is still trying to figure out what they're going to do with the surplus and figure out how that's distributed to us as a district. If they decide to return it to us, that's technically 2015-16 money, so that will have an effect on our final ending fund balance.
And Natalie, at this point, we don't know what they're going to do at this point, right?
We do not.
Okay.
We have a projection of what we think it will be, but they have not disclosed how or when that will be distributed.
When's our next state board meeting? Do we know? That may be where they make those decisions. Is that supposed to be there, Dwayne? Do you know?
I actually thought they had one this week.
Okay. They may discuss it.
I don't think they've actually received the official allocation from the state itself.
Okay.
To make a determination on it.
Okay.
I thought they had a meeting this week.
This is an information item, so unless there are questions, then we'll just move forward to the next item.
Thank you.
The next item, Ms. Donna Dollahan.
Good evening. I'm here to give you my treasurer's report at the end of August. Cash balances report shows a total of $36,762,000 in assets for the district. Included in this total are investments that total $22,690,000. Our fund security and deposit report shows a total of $54,589,000 in collateral pledged to the schools. Our deposits that require collateral total $31,622,000, leaving an available balance of collateral in the amount of $22,967,000.
Thank you for that information. Are there questions? Go ahead and move forward.
Going on to the activity funds, receipts at the end of August totaled $978,000. Our disbursements totaled $449,000, with an ending cash balance in the activity funds of $2,861,000.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, Ms. Kathy Metavelis.
Good evening. My first item tonight is the change order report for a period of time August 4th through September 7th. And this report is reflecting a small increase of $2,267.60. And that is primarily due to a little bit of an underestimation of participation in BizTown.
Okay. Any comments?
Make a motion to approve.
Second. We have a motion and second to approve the change order reports for all funds for the 2016-17 fiscal year. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Next item is the encumbrance report for all funds from August 4th through September 8th, which reflects encumbrance orders totaling $1,347,175.53.
I do want to make a comment on the report structure. It is very nice and it's easy to follow, and I just wanted to make that comment. I know we're improving our business processes all the time. This is just one of those things that I notice, and it just makes everybody's job easier. So
Thank you.
Any other comments?
I would agree, but make a motion to approve.
Okay. Second. We have a motion and second to approve the encumbrance reports for all funds for the 2016-17 fiscal year. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Thank you.
Next item, Mr. Ed Fager.
Good evening. I have two policies to bring to you tonight. The first one, item number 75, is a replacement of our existing policy number 5170, titled Felony Record Search. A review of that policy revealed that it hadn't been updated since 2009 and didn't really reflect our current practices and that. So I'm bringing forward the standard policy language from our legal counsel, and what we will have eventually in our new standard policy manual. This already reflects that. So I'm asking that it be done in one reading so we can go ahead and get that policy updated.
And this is consistent with our practices, correct?
Yes.
Okay, are there other questions? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Recommend approval.
Second. We have a motion and second to approve the replacement and retitling of Board Policy 5170, Felony Record Search, included in Section 5, Employee. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson? Yes. Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay, the next item, number 76, is a revision to policy number 5230, payment of accumulated sick leave and vacation at retirement. This is second reading on this policy change. And basically, we added a provision to this policy to allow for payment of sick leave at retirement in the event that an employee has 20 years of cumulative service. Previously, the policy just read 10 years of continuous service immediately before retirement. So just expands the eligibility a little bit. We did this change back in May for administrators, and now with the ratification of the agreement, we're going to extend that to all certified employees and then also to support employees.
Mr. Fager, I did want to say that this does really demonstrate, in my opinion, certainly, an overview look at all of our employees and to do things that make people certainly feel a little bit better about our district at the time of separation.
Right.
And so I wanted to thank you for that. If there are no questions, I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Second. We have a motion and second to approve the proposed revisions to Board Policy 5230, payment of accumulated sick leave and vacation at retirement, included in Section 5, Employees. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Thank you.
Next item, Mr. Dwayne Thompson.
The item I have, or three here. The first one is to consider the legal representation on a case before the Oklahoma Tax Commission. Basically, there is a percentage of the money that we pay in premium that goes to this fund, and at the end of the year that's available for rebate. In our district, it's usually around $12,000, and I think it's $11,700 on that. So you file your claim on that, and then the Oklahoma Tax Commission would distribute that to you. Well, this year, when we filed our claim, we were denied because of the executive order by the governor to capture those funds and utilize that as part of the overall budget. And so several entities throughout the state have filed suit in the indication that that was above and beyond the purview of what was legal, and so that's going to be considered. And so this representation is on a contingency basis, so if we're successful, they'll get paid 10%, or a little over $1,000, and if it's not successful, then we don't pay them anything. If the case goes on to the Supreme Court, then we would have another agreement and a cost associated with that if we chose to pursue it. But we thought for the amount of, we're not out anything for the potential of gaining $10,000 that we would normally collect, and so we put that for your consideration.
Okay. Discussion? I would entertain a motion.
Recommend approval.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the new agreement between Broken Arrow Public Schools and Dewberry and NAFA, I guess, LLP, providing legal representation on contingency basis related to the recovery and receipt of funds from the Oklahoma Tax Commission pursuant to the denial of the district's 2015 Multiple Injury Trust Fund. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson? Yes. Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. Next item.
Okay, the next item is for the board to consider the ratification of the negotiated agreement. You've heard from BAEA, they had a 96% approval rating, so hopefully we'll have 100% for the board. The couple things that we just go back through, what we had is all the certified staff received one step. We added a step 31, so that would include those individuals at the top of the scale. We made some changes to the stipend list, and some of the things were clarification in this last legislative session. They actually, things like lead teacher, they had legislation of what is a lead teacher, how much are they to be paid, how much a day could they work, and so forth. So we had some wording changes that we in the past you were accustomed to. Then also, as we've discussed with the policy for student engagement, some of the stipends went from sponsor to monitor, so we had to make those changes as well. There were a few other things that we eliminated because if we're doing things now more electronic, so some of the agreement had things on there about postings and so forth as far as literal postings, which are now done electronically, and so we eliminated those. And there was some also language that we put in. There was had been a little bit of conflict on the back to school kickoff and who could do what in relation to the two organizations that represents employees here, and so I had given them my interpretation of what that meant, and so we then capsulized that in the agreement, so there's no discussion or no question about that, at least at this moment. And then the last one is the policy that you just approved with Mr. Fager for the change in the retirement and accrued sick leave payment. So those things were in there. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer those for you.
Before we do that, though, I want to certainly thank you and the association leadership for, I know that it takes a lot of time and certainly a lot of discussion at times, and I appreciate very much the fact that you, with your leadership, and certainly the association leadership, are working so well together and reaching an agreement. It's no accident that that happens, and I certainly have experience in that, and I appreciate it very much, and I know that we benefit significantly as a district when we get things done quickly like that.
That's correct.
Thank you. So with that, if there are no other questions, I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the ratification of the negotiated agreement between the district and the Broken Arrow Education Association for the 2016-17 fiscal year. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson? Yes. Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. The next item.
Okay, the last item I have is approval of the estimate of needs. This is an annual event, and the estimate of needs is, the purpose is three things. First one is to recap what has happened on a cash basis in the appropriated funds, so recording revenue and expenditures, to send that information to the state along with our FR3 report, which is done electronically. So that's the first thing we do. The second one is to establish total appropriations that you can spend in each appropriated funds. That's not to establish the budget, it's just to say this is the maximum based on revenue projections that you could possibly spend in each fund. And then the last one is to establish the sinking fund tax rate, which varies from year to year based on the outstanding debt and values. So all those things are incorporated in there. The sinking fund tax rate would be the 29.4. It is up slightly from the previous year, but less than it was when we asked the voters to approve the bond issues. So we're below what we estimated to be, and you're going to have that fluctuation each and every year. You see that when we sell bonds, you see the changes because depending on how collections are, values and so forth. And the overall value now is 839 million. So that's up from, like, I believe 799, so about $40 million, which is about a 5% increase. So those are all positive things on there. The total appropriations for the general fund, just so you would have that, would be 120 million, almost 121 million, 6.2 million roughly for the building fund, and 11 million for child nutrition. So that, again, that will not be what we budget to spend. That is the maximum that we have given the revenue projections that we have. So I would answer any questions that you have. Once the board has approved this, then it will be published. Then it goes to the county excise board for their approval. And then that starts the clock ticking to get the budget completed based on those appropriations.
Okay, any questions? I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the estimate of needs for the 2016-17 school year. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson? Yes. Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. The next item under new business, seeing that there is none, we're going to move to the next item, which is to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and second to adjourn the meeting. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson? Yes. Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. Thank you.
Have a great evening.